Good morning, people. Deluded, I'm back again. Arsenal 2, Manchester United 0, and I can get used to saying that sort of stuff, man. In all seriousness, now I've watched the game again, and I might as well provide my tactical thoughts or thoughts in regards to tactically what happened and what went right for both teams, what went wrong. Before I start, I credit Uno Emre. I feel we played a very strong lineup, very attacking. The players were very brave at all incidences. I feel, remember, I like, you lot know I'm a fan of his. He's convinced me. But at times, one criticism I do have of him is, especially against the little teams, we can be a bit over cautious, over pragmatic, and sometimes in big games when we're doing all right, I think he puts the handbrake up a bit and B's a bit too solid. But I feel particularly in the second half when United were on top of us, he could have easily brought on another midfielder or some defensive changes, and he stayed true to his principles. He kept Ramsey. Obviously, Ozil came off, but Ramsey, Ozil, Aubameyang, Lacazette all stayed on the field for a substantial amount of time. Aubameyang was always also subbed, so I like it. I did also feel, obviously it's easy for me to say this in United in hindsight, but maybe they were better off with a 4-3-3 or an attacking approach that served them well. Obviously they kind of played how they played against PSG against us. No disrespect to us, but I do think that flatters us a bit. Arsenal, you have a go against us, you have half a chance, and I feel he possibly thought about what he deemed could be potential threats, or maybe he just wanted to go with a counter-attacking approach and stuff, and I feel that quite kind of cost them. But away from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, obviously the players just weren't good enough. So, like, obviously, people, my handwriting is poor and we're not working with the best of equipment. But here we obviously have a 4-4-2 from Manchester United. You've obviously got Luke Shaw, the centre-halves, keepers there for Image. You've got Young, you've got Deluded. You've got Lukaku, you've got Rashford, you've got Pogba on the starting off on the left, and you've got the two midfield men. We started off in a 3-4-3, depending on how you look at it. But for me, it was more a 3-4-1-2 sort of thing. In that Ozil, the key thing for me, in fact, the big reason as to why United lost this for me, is the midfield men. It's the midfield battle. I know Fred is getting a lot of stick. Obviously, he hit the post and the penalty incident. It was a soft pen, but ultimately he gave it away. I personally felt sorry for Fred because I felt first time watching the game he was one of the United's better players, and I feel again he was one of the better players. Again, he wasn't perfect, but I actually think he was alright. Lukaku missed some serious sitters. I mean, at times he's taking touches where he doesn't need to, but I feel he was alright as well, and he's getting scapegoated. I feel Rashford was poor, and if I'm honest, the first goal is not Rashford's fault, but Rashford. This is what I tell you about tracking midfield runners, people. Where's Xhaka? I don't want to mess up the screen, people. What I'm going to show you lot, but basically Xhaka actually starts the move to his goal. He plays it. Rashford, considering United were very deep anyways, Rashford should have realised that Xhaka's going to make that forward run. He doesn't he doesn't follow Xhaka, and that's the same thing I tell you when I see it in our midfielders. You have to follow runners. He doesn't follow Xhaka. Obviously, Maitland-Niles and Lacazette combined it. Eventually, it found its way to Xhaka, and 9 times out of 10, Rashford will get away with that because most people are not going to shoot from that range if Xhaka does. I know he scores a lot of bangers, but typically it's wide or over. De Gea is a quality keeper. He normally saves them sort of things. But the one time he doesn't, this is what happens. So I feel Rashford possibly could have done better in that incident. But back to us. Obviously, I feel it was a brave lineup. I feel Lacazette pressed very well, as did Aubameyang. They did what they could and they worked very hard. But I feel Mesut Ozil, again, we're going to get onto these two men in the pivot because they were better than Mesut Ozil. But I feel the opposition weren't picking up Mesut Ozil. Fred, not even just Fred, the whole team. Ozil was getting into pockets here. He was drifting out wide here. He was obviously getting forward and helping them press here. He was just going all over the place, and I feel they needed a lot of help. And a big reason as that is because Pogba is on the left. Obviously, obviously Pogba people is narrow and things like that. But for me, he needs to be in the middle. Obviously, the last probably 15 minutes, I'd say you saw a change and they went 5 at the back. I'll have to delete this all to draw it again. But I felt they weren't able to pick up Ozil. I feel the midfield in Matic and Fred, they were overrun. They had no awareness where Ozil is. He's forever on their last shoulder. Xhaka's there playing passes all over the gaff and all over the park. Ramsey, bro, I'm going to miss Ramsey. All action display from me, people. All action up and down the field, regulating. I feel the midfield did their thing, man. I feel United helped us because these two, very early on, you actually saw Rashford. Where's the blue thing, people? And where's my tissue? I don't want to use my hands. You know what? Oh, it's up there. Apologies, people. But if I just delete Rashford and Lukaku quickly, I feel from the first couple minutes you could see it wasn't going to happen for United because the two strikers are meant to be there and there, right? they're meant to discourage playing out from the back. You know Arsenal like to play out from the back, and I feel Leno played some lovely passes. They're meant to discourage that, and they did do it. And if I'm honest, Rashford and Lukaku, a couple stages, out of everybody, they look the most dangerous. But at times, you would see Lukaku here and Rashford here. And then that leaves gaps. Obviously, people, let me get rid of these arrows, they're not serving any purpose. Obviously, if Rashford and Lukaku are over here or over here on the same side, what does that mean? That's more time on the ball for Koscielny, Socrates, Leno, Monreal, and then they're able to pick out passes. Do you see what I'm saying, people? And on that topic, I feel we pressed very well. We pressed incredibly well because what? We were forcing that backline. That backline wanted to play out from the back, but we were forcing Aubameyang, Lacazette, and obviously Mesut Ozil when he's coming up there as well. And not just them, but when Ramsey's supporting as well. I feel as a team we pressed very well and we discouraged their team. It's getting messy now, but we discouraged these members from playing out the back line. And when they did, what did you see, people? What did you continuously see? You saw long, aimless balls forward. Again, it doesn't matter now. It's going to get messy, people. Aimless balls forward. Aimless. And to be honest, Koscielny, Socrates, Monreal, Xhaka, everybody, we were just sweeping that up. The ball's coming, we're just intercepting or winning it in the air. I was increasingly impressed with Monreal in the air because out of them three defenders, you would think Monreal would be the worst in the air for obvious reasons, but he was certified. So I feel United played into our hands a lot, people. I feel they should have went for a 3-3. I think you saw Pogba any given stage, he was trying to come inside as well, so it's natural habits. I feel they just thought about us a bit too much and it played into our hands. It was a bit too cautious from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in terms of tactics, and it was overcautious from their players, in my opinion. This is the sort of game you want to see from Arsenal, to be fair with you. Obviously, I've spoken about the first goal. The second goal, we're actually counter-attacking in numbers. It all comes from Socrates. Actually, people, it all comes from Socrates winning the ball. Then, obviously, you're seeing good movement from Ramsey and Lacazette. It is a soft pen, but at the end of the day, Spurs shouldn't have had one last week. We got one this week. My point with that being, all clubs in this Premier League were getting decisions wrong and right against us and wrong against us. Some are getting it more than others, yes. And for me, it brings into dispute the integrity of refereeing because I know it comes down to interpretation and things, but it does feel like there's a massive inconsistency. So I feel we did all right, people. It was a 4-3-3, like I said, but it was more a free. It was more of a you see what I said already, people. More of a 3-4-1-2 sort of thing. So yeah, I think we did well from an Arsenal standpoint of view. Yeah, man. We weathered the storm, man. And if I bring up United's, let's just draw up United's again, people. Obviously, I got my United notes. I know I got some followers that support United and that. So if we just delete everything for a sec, I can't wait till I have one of them mad screens like them Sky Sports people. Imagine I could just wipe this all off with one thing. Because right now, my biggest concern is making sure this doesn't drop because the whole vid will have to be done again. But if we look at Man United, now I get it, people. I get it. Obviously, everyone's a genius in hindsight. It all goes right for people in hindsight, so it's easy for me to say this, innit? But I see the angle he was coming with. He obviously switched to 5 at the back at a time. But I see what he was trying to come with. You got Shaw there. You got Young there. You probably had Diallo here, who's by trade is a right back. We'll get onto that. You obviously had Matic, Fred, and then Pogba had to do his thing out there. Then obviously you had Rashford and you had Lukaku. Now clearly United's game plan was just to hit us on the counter. You saw how deep every player was in their half in the first half essentially. They were there to hit us on the counter and at times it worked. One lovely incident, I can't remember the minute, but there was a lovely phase of play topped off by Pogba. I think he left-footed clip into Lukaku and Lukaku messed it up. I feel Lukaku was alright, but at the end of the day strikers have to score goals and he didn't do that and it was quite poor. But you saw what they were doing and to be honest you can say it was working because as much as I feel we were good, we did weather the storm. I feel we defended convincingly on the whole face of it. Definitely a better defensive performance than you've seen from Arsenal in a while. But we weathered the storm, obviously. Lukaku hitting the crossbar. A couple of mad opportunities like that. One where it fell to Rashford where Maitland-Niles was playing him on side and he skied it. There's little incidences like this. So I get what he was trying to come with, people. I get it. Pogba is narrow. For me, I was looking at is that Pogba, at some period, he's going to come inside because he can't do the left wing thing. He was coming deep, and obviously he's doing that to help Shaw and kind of discourage us from getting forward down this right. But I was thinking Pogba needs to be in here. They need a free because, again, Ozil is running the show. Ozil not running the show because I feel Xhaka and Ramsey were better than him, but Ozil's getting into lovely little half spaces here, little half spaces here, there. Little things here, and they're not aware of that, people. And that's obviously, if Fred or Matic, whichever one you want on this side, realises that Ozil's doing that and he goes to him, what are you going to see, people? Think about it logically. If he realises he's out there and he gets closer to him, what do you now see? You see space for Aaron Ramsey, Xhaka, whoever, Lacazette, even if he wants to come deep, to exploit. And then it's down to someone like Kola to make this run so the ball comes in behind and then the ball gets whipped over. And people, how many times did you see that? Football is not a hard game, people. It's just complicated by idiots. How many times did you see Kola putting in balls in the box? And to be fair to United, there was a couple of occasions they did the same thing. So yeah, I have to delete and draw this again. Actually, wasn't meant to do that. We was just cracking on from United. But staying on point with United, people. Let me draw that again. Poor drawing, I know, people, but we got things to do. You see what I'm telling you, people? You see how I try to ruin the vid? But yeah, obviously 4-4-2. Let's not draw it to scale now. I'm getting tired. My hands are in. So yeah, people, what did you see? You saw 4-4-2, yeah? I get it. I get the angle because on point you could see two midfielders, they're going to get outnumbered, and to be honest, he was probably looking at it as that Rashford and Lukaku, they're going to press, they're dangerous on the counter-attack, they're both quick players or strong runners. They've got Pogba who's going to become narrow anyways and just mark the half space and try and discourage. You've got Shaw going forward, and then you've got Young who can do a little thing going forward, but that's not him. And they've got a safety net in Deluded. So that's basically two right-backs on that side. So I get the thinking. Obviously, Kolar is our most attacking... Sorry, people. Kolasinac, Kolar, as I call him, is Arsenal's most attacking threat consistently this season. Down that left flank, and he got in behind. So I get it, people. You obviously... got a bit more protection, two natural defensive-minded players in principle again on the left-hand side. I get it, people. I really get it. Where's my other notes? You had that, so they tried to counter-attack us. Pogba, I feel, like I said, man, he was doing a job out there, and I think he did all right, to be fair, as much as I banter him, but you need him in here. So I get the angle they were coming with. If they've got Deluded, gives them a bit of protection. Young there, Shaw, who's going to create issues and things like that. They can hit us. They can hit us on the break and cause some issues. They obviously quickly saw that it worked. One thing I like about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is that he sees things are not going to work. To be fair with you, I like managers who don't, rather than just sit there. I'm not saying change anytime you see something, but rather than just sit there and stuff, he changed a bit, and then you saw. Obviously, rightly or wrongly, he had to use the personnel that's available to him. You saw them going to a back five. You saw Ashley Young here. You saw Smalling. You saw Lindelof. Obviously, Shaw's being told because of the handbrake to get a bit forward. And then Deluded's already a right back by trade. So they've got a bit of protection there. And then obviously, Pogba eventually came inside. And then you had Matic, well, Fred. And then you had Matic there. Then obviously, you had Rashford and Lukaku. And to be fair with you, you can see the angle. Shaw has to get forward because there's no other wing on this field at the point of time on the left-hand channel unless they're looking to bring on Martial, which they didn't until later. And he's been given the freedom. This is what I mean about you don't always need 4 defenders in principle. Obviously, you need 4 defenders to start, 3 defenders to start. But Shaw is a fullback by trade. Go forward. And he was actually causing us issue. Oh, I don't know what that was, people. Then you have Deluded, who's a natural right back that gives them the stability, people, of always having 4 players back. Then in theory, you've got, let's just say Matic because it's easier, who's more, I'd say he's the most defensively minded of this trio at this point in time. So that's put Bailey 5 people back, people. And then you can hit us on the counter. But I just feel they respected us a bit too much. You look at Arsenal, Man United, this is a game for bravery. And I feel United, I'm not going to buy the fatigue stuff because if they won, they wouldn't have said the fatigue business. I do think the midfielders were chasing shadows and I do think there was an element of fatigue. But Arsenal played on the Thursday and in today's day and age, and not just for United, for all players, fatigue is a big thing because of the games they're playing, but because of the fitness structures, the tailoring and stuff. Arguably, these players are more looked after than ever than any period of time as a footballer. So I don't necessarily buy the tired business. Again, they did look tired in the first half and they were chasing shadows, but you get the point, people. Not that, as much as I praise us defensively, though, there were times which we need to get out of our game. And to be honest, this is what I mean about, for this season at least, we might as well just attack teams. Obviously, I'm not saying the same approach against United will work against Spurs, because it doesn't. But we're not going to be able to see out games and stuff. We got away with it this last night and things like that. But a couple of times, people, I was seeing this. I have to speak about it. Like, that's the only bad thing I can say. You will see it at times. A midfielder would be here. You would see Lukaku pull into that. You would see Rashford, and you might see a next man there. Now, there was other different scenarios like this, but typically, what do you see here, people? 3v3. As a defender or defending team, you never want to be defending against equal numbers. So yeah, I feel you saw again. Pogba was the best example. How many times were they trying to hit this left-hand channel and take advantage of the space Kohler leaves? And to be honest, I rate Kohler, because I feel Kohler today, obviously there was at times where they were getting joy down there, but I feel Kohler stayed very close to Monreal. I feel they held it up down this left-hand side, and for someone whose strengths is not defending in Kohler, and I've scrutinised him for such, I feel he was on point today, to be honest. Yesterday, people. So, yeah, I don't feel I've got anything else to add. I just feel if United are looking for reason as to why they lost this, I feel the midfield, probably the game planning just in the counter-attacking approach, it did give them joy, but you look at the first 20, it wasn't good enough. Arsenal cutting them open at will, putting in low whipped balls, just signalling our intent. I feel Arsenal played some lovely football, especially a lot of moves started with Lennon. We're cutting them open in 5 passes or so. 21st minute where Ramsey skied over, the best example. But I feel in short, they lost this because they probably respected us or went into this game thinking about what Arsenal could do more. Obviously, there's an element of fatigue, but I think the midfield battle was the key, and that's actually why they lost this. Obviously, regardless of saying this, Lukaku had some chances. If he scores, it's a different game, and not just him, couple others. But I feel midfield, United lost the midfield battle, and that was a key plus point as to why Arsenal was able to walk away with the victory. That's just my opinion, people. I did feel United grew into the second half of the first half, and second half we had to do a lot of defending, people. Like I said, they obviously made a couple of changes as they started chasing the game and things like that. But it is what it is, man. We won. It's going to be a good top 4 race between United, Arsenal, now Spurs and Chelsea. At least Spurs mathematically, with Arsenal a point behind them now. But yeah, in regards to the tactical review, people, thank you for persisting. I know my handwriting is not the best. I know what we're using in terms of resources isn't the best, but I'd like to think I've given you lots of quality. I'd love to hear your opinion. So if you've got any comments, subscribe and do the rest. People, Deluded, Arsenal 2, Manchester United 0, tactical review. I'm out.